our weekly seminar live, broadcasting out to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and a couple other places that I can't remember off the top of my head. But we're talking real estate market just suddenly go insane. Well, it may feel like it right now, but I'm going to show you guys in through this process of what we're going to talk about today that it's actually still going quite well. We are getting back to a more balanced market right now. Again, that way if you're trying to sell a house right now, but I assure you, we are getting back to a much more balanced market. Current inventory right now is above 2 months. To give you some context, that was actually double what it was at the beginning of the year. And so that's why it feels like it's such a strenuous shift in the market right now, is because inventory is over doubled. But that's okay, because home prices, while we are seeing some market corrections as far as price adjustments downward, the entire market hasn't collapsed. And it's very different than the recession last time around in '08 and '09, because we were so overbuilt then and there were restrictions on lending that we're not going to have that same type of housing bubble pop right now. I get asked that question all the time. Short answer is we are not in a bubble. Now, I don't think you're going to lose any money on your house, because you may not be able to price it exactly where you want to, but if you bought here and you price it way up here, if you have to come down just a little bit, hey, you still made some money on your house. And on top of that, wherever you're going nationally, pretty much the same thing is really happening all across our country right now. So let's get into it. 9.5 things you need to know right now, even though the market may feel like it's imploding on you. The first thing, and I already kind of alluded to it, is pricing. We need to be really, really careful when we price right now, because the worst thing, and it happens to every single realtor out there, myself included on occasion, is that you can misprice a house. And you have to go back to the seller and say, hey, we were a little off with that. Here's some new research. Let's dial that back that pricing just a little bit so we can actually get your house sold and get your real estate goals accomplished. We normally use a tool called the Total Market Overview Report. I'm a big fan of it. I really like it a lot. It gives you a 6-month snapshot in the rearview mirror of exactly what's happened in the market as an indicator of where we are right now. While I still use that and our team still uses that, what we're finding, however, is that we have to do a lot more digging on the current comps out there, because the pricing has shifted so quickly on us in all of the markets we serve. Clark County, Southwest Washington State, the Portland, Oregon metro area, as well as the Oklahoma City area. All of those markets have shifted pretty dramatically, so our pricing has to shift along with that. So what your house may have sold for 6 months ago, it may be a little bit less than that now, depending upon your situation. We're finding a lot of unique properties that maybe kind of had some character to them, that sort of thing, that buyers were willing to take on 6 months to a year ago. They're not willing to take that on anymore unless it's the right price. So it goes back to pricing that house correctly and moving on and accomplishing those. The second thing you really need to know is the timeline. Now, the market can shift all over the place wherever it wants to. The timeline in a transaction, however, is going to remain the same. You get your house on market, you get it under contract where the buyer and seller both agree to the terms of the contract, and then from there, that's when the clock really starts. 3 days in, typically, depending on your location, earnest money is due. Earnest money is basically like a deposit on your house that the buyer brings. 10 days, calendar days in some states, business days in other states. 10 days in, that's when all the repairs and negotiations for those repairs are to be done. That's when the inspection takes place. If you need a pest inspection, a roof inspection, all those different things in there. We help you manage all of that, by the way, depending on which side of the transaction you're on. And then after those repair negotiations have taken place, that's when the lender really kicks in, unless it's a cash deal. That's when the lender comes and says, okay, hey, we've got to schedule the appraisal. We've got to get all the underwriting done for the loan, all of that good stuff. Now, if it's a cash deal, hey, we can close that out in as little as 14 business days. But when a lender is involved, as 85% nationally of transactions lenders are involved, they're going to come in and create some more stipulations for that transaction, as well they should, because it's their money on the line, correct? And then at that point, we move to closing. Closing, a lot of people think, hey, it's when we go into the title company and sign the papers. Well, that's a part of it. But legal closing actually happens when the deed transfers from the seller over to the buyer. And that can only be accomplished by the county in which. So currently, right now, I'm in my Pacific Northwest office. I'm not in Oklahoma right now. And here in Clark County, Southwest Washington, when those records go to the county, it takes anywhere from 2 to 5 hours for them to process, depending on how busy they are, for them to process those deed transfers. Once that happens and that deed is recorded in the buyer's name, the property has officially closed. So it's a little bit different than just going to the title company and signing your name, though that definitely is a part of it. So that's the timeline of a transaction. Another thing you really need to consider strongly when you're selling your house is photography. Photography is hugely important. More and more right now, we are seeing realtors snap pictures with their iPhone. If you are even remotely considering selling your house, I am begging you, please do not do this. There's houses all over the country look horrible in their listing photos simply because their realtor was too darn cheap to go out and hire a professional photographer. There was a house that I looked at as a potential rental, and I showed up to the house and it just looked dramatically different from the photos. Not in a good way, by the way. The photo itself was kind of fuzzy. I showed up and there was wood chips. The paint needed to be redone. It was terrible. It was not an accurate depiction of what that property is. So we need to make sure that when we do those professional photos, we give a true, accurate representation of what your property actually looks like. Because that way, when the real thing matches the photos, when they show up, they're going to be more inclined to make an offer on that property. So I collect, by the way, bad MLS photos. It's kind of a hobby of mine. So if you want to check them out, go to tannerrealtygroup.com. Down in our Facebook page feeds section, you'll see a ton of bad MLS photos, or you can hop on our Tanner Realty Group Facebook page. Just kind of a hobby of mine. I see a ton of bad ones. I collect them from all over the country. I've got friends that have me, and it's just kind of a fun hobby. So let's talk about video. We've talked so far about pricing, about the timeline in a transaction. We've talked about photography. Number 4, let's talk about video. Video is kind of interesting. A lot of realtors will skimp on this right now. And depending upon the transaction, I think it's a really, really good idea to do video. And when I say that, not just, again, the realtor with his iPhone, but hire a professional videographer, and your realtor should do this for you, to do a walkthrough of the house. Now, in ours, we do a nice little intro. Typically, I kind of introduce the house a little bit, give a few stats about it, and then our fantastic videographer does a walkthrough and a camera shoot of the entire house. And what that really nice music in the background, but what that does is, again, that gives the buyer a great representation of what your property is actually like. And for those that are not interested in that property, they go away. For those that are interested, typically they become more interested when they see that video. So they can go back and say, hey, you know what? I like that. That bedroom is exactly what I was looking for, or that bonus room is exactly where I wanted my big screen television, or whatever the case may be. But it's all about projecting the property accurately out to the general public and getting as many eyes on that as possible. We've reached as few as 2,000 people with our videos and as many as almost 20,000 with our videos. It truly depends on the property and what type of property people are interested in. So I would strongly recommend doing video. One thing I didn't anticipate when we first started doing that is drone work. we've started including this. Again, go to the Facebook page, tannerrealtygroup.com, and you will be able to see a ton of our drone work. Our videographer also has this drone pilot license, so that works out kind of nice. But we started using that because I thought, hey, this is kind of a cool thing to do. It's really kind of neat. It's a cool new thing. You get to see where the parks are. You get to see how close it is to the school, what the streets look like, all that good stuff. What I did not anticipate, however, and this is what we get the most comments on still to date about our drone work, is the condition of the roof. The first one we did this on in Camas, Washington, our videographer did a really cool upward shot looking down at the house. And the comments that we got back multiple comments, was, man, that roof really looks fantastic. Boy, those gutters are really clean. And I didn't expect that. So now we kind of run with it, and we make sure and show that roof in every video that we do so people can see the condition of the roof. And as you know, that's a pretty important thing because, hey, when we talk about a house, we talk about a roof over your head, right? So it's kind of an important thing to have. Number 5, let's talk about 3D tours. 3D tours are becoming more and more popular. Some people don't like them because they say they make them motion sick when they look at them. More often than not, though, I found that people really enjoy them. It's another avenue of exposure for that property. And if you haven't seen them, there's a whole host of companies that do these. We use one out of the Bay Area in California. We email them all the video for it, and they stitch together that 3D tour to make the house look very, very cool on the inside, to where you can virtually spin around and take a look at everything and walk through those different rooms. In addition, we also take it a step further, and we pay the company to come up with a 2D floor plan, as if it were a builder's floor plan. So you look at that and you can place where the couches are going to go, where you're going to put your artwork, where the doors are going to go, kind of the flow of the house, everything like that. So the 3D tours and the 2D floor plan are becoming increasingly important in selling real estate. And I would very much encourage you to look at those and to implement those. If you don't hire us, we're going to automatically do it for you. But I would strongly have your realtor do that, or at least ask them if they can do it, because that's an important part of people really taking a look at your property and finding out about it before they get in that front door. And that's important because, hey, selling a house sometimes, not real fun. Let's just be blunt, honest about it. It's not a good time a lot of times. And you want as few interested people traipsing through your house as little as possible. I would much rather have 5 interested parties than 50 people that are kind of looky-loos. You know what I mean? So let's get those 5 interested folks in there and make sure that they're seeing the property in a good light through the video, through the 3D, through the still photography, for the 2D floor plans, through all of those, to make sure that they get in and are interested in the property. So you definitely need to know when you sell a house is MLS representation. This is one of the key things that your realtor does for you. They make sure that your property is on the local MLS, multiple listing service, whether it's the regional multiple listing service in the Vancouver, Washington, Portland, Oregon area, or it's the MLS OK in Oklahoma, in the Oklahoma City area, to get that on there to make sure that all of the realtors in the area have access to that property and they can see it. Because each one of those buyer's agents or potential buyer's agents represents a whole host of people who might be interested in your property. So it's about getting as many eyes as possible on there so other professionals can see your property and make sure their clients know about it. It's a huge advantage that if you sell off on your own, you don't have. And the more eyes on your property, the more people are interested in your property, you can drive that pricing up and get closer to your real estate goals. And let's talk digital marketing a little bit. Hey, if you're watching this right now, either live, and I've seen people jumping in and out of the stream, or on the replay, our digital marketing is working. You're seeing me give this seller seminar because you either saw it on my Facebook page, on my LinkedIn page, on my YouTube page, whatever the case may be. So digital marketing is definitely the way to get the word out about your property. We get it out on Instagram, Facebook, believe it or not, TikTok. I'm on there. I'm not dancing, I promise. YouTube, we get our videos out all over the place because we want to make sure and give it the widest level of exposure possible. Now, you may be thinking, TikTok, why in the world are you on there? Isn't that for like little kids that lip sync and dance? Well, yeah, but there's also a bunch of folks that are on there that are first time home buyers, that are people that might want to be looking at your property for their parents, for their grandparents. Maybe somebody wants to downsize, that kind of thing. So you want to make sure and get the word out as much as you possibly can through digital marketing. Here's another thing about digital marketing you really want to know. Make sure your realtor pays for the ads. Don't just have the realtor put it up there to his family and friends, his or her family and friends, because that's not going to do any good. Hey, don't get me wrong. My mom sees all of my stuff online, okay? Oh, Michael, that's so nice. She'll text me. That's great. But my mom's not going to buy your property. So I actually need to pony up the money to get the word out about your property so as many people see it as possible. My family and friends, odds are, aren't going to be the ones statistically to buy your place. However, if I can get thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people taking a look at your place, we've got a really good strong offers on that. So make sure it's a pay to play type realtor, that they actually put their money where their mouth is, and they don't just put it out to family and friends, but they make sure and pay and advertise it professionally out on digital marketing. That's huge. So the next thing that you really want to bring to the table, or have your realtor bring to the table in a real estate transaction, is the transaction coordination. Now, I am currently selling one of my family's rentals, and a family member gave me a really big compliment earlier today. He said, man, I don't know how you keep all these details straight. I've gotten like 20 different emails about our transaction just today alone. And I said, yeah, that's true. You did, because he got them from title. He got them from our office. He got them from me directly. He got them from the lender. He got them from a whole host of different sources. And as you get close to closing, those emails obviously increase. Well, he said, how do you keep all this stuff? My answer, just like that, was I got a transaction coordinator. Our team has a transaction coordinator because there's no way I can keep all of these deals straight in my head. You get over more than about 2 deals a month, and there is no way you can keep all those details straight. There's simply too much communication going on. You need a realtor that's got some backup, that can look at a whiteboard with the team and say, okay, here's this one, here's this one, here's this one, and walk through that transaction coordination steps, because otherwise too many details are lost. And simple truth is, most realtors, those of us in sales, not real great with details. We need that kind of backup to make sure that we're not only nice and friendly to the clients and we're getting the job done, but the contract, from contract to close, is getting taken care of in a very detailed manner. Because if it's not, the contract can go sideways and the whole thing can be ruined if those details are not covered. So transaction coordination is key in any real estate sale. Now, what turns off potential buyers? Let's talk about number 9 real quick. What turns off potential buyers? I can tell you, anything polarizing. The old keep your house as neutral as possible still holds true. Unfortunately, and we're seeing it this week even more, our country is very, very divided. And it saddens me. It truly does. However, I also don't want that division in our country to ruin your real estate sale. And neither do you. I've had people that are maybe very liberal leaning be offended by something conservative in someone's house. I've had very conservative people that maybe see something kind of on the more progressive side. They're deeply offended by what they see. You know what they have in common? Both of those parties leave the house and the deal's over before it even starts. You don't want to put yourself in a position to where our politically divided country plays into your real estate deal. Make sure you have your house as neutral as possible. You know what? If you're a big political supporter one way or the other, I don't care. You're not hiring me to be a political supporter for you. If you are, I'm not going to do it. I'm a libertarian. I don't like either anybody politically, I should say that. Sorry about that. But you want to make sure that you have someone that's as neutral as possible, who's going to say, hey, our job here is not to focus on politics, it's not to focus on division. Our job is to get this real estate transaction done so you can accomplish your goals. So that's number 9. Now, I promise 9.5 things whenever I do these seller seminars, and everybody always asks, dude, why the half? It's stupid. Why do you do that? Well, you remember it and you ask me about it. That's why I do the half. And the half is this: it's the one thing that you absolutely, positively must do. Don't pay attention to anything else I've said other than this one thing, and this seminar will be a help to you. What's the one thing that you have to do to get your house sold? Clean it. Clean it. Make it sparkling clean. That is the number one thing. If you have the ability to hire cleaners to come in and do a deep clean on your house, I would strongly recommend it. You know, old school wisdom is, oh, fresh baked pie or a plate of cookies so that aroma fills the air. Well, hey, you do that in downtown Portland or somewhere, somebody's gluten allergy is going to go off and you may have to administer an EpiPen in your house. You don't want that. Also, I'm kind of a cynical person. I mean, I'm sorry, I am by nature. I'm a little cynical. And so when I walk in, if there is a scent that strong, my first thought is, oh man, what are they trying to cover up? What, a skunk die in here or something? And so you want to make sure that your house smells as clean as you can possibly get it to get the best chance of selling your house. I would much rather come into the strong scent of pine sol, like old school pine sol, rather than cookies any day of the week, just because I know that somebody's put some cleaning effort into that house. It still can, on occasion it can, but by and large, as long as that house smells clean, it's going to sell better. Hey, thanks so much for joining us today. We do these little 25-minute seminars you can pop in and out of. You can also catch us on the replay. We do these live on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock. We do a buyer seminar live on Wednesday at 4 o'clock, brought to you by Austin Cassidy, one of our fantastic buyer agents. He also lists house too, but he does the buyer seminar. And then we do a replay of this very seminar on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock, and we do a replay of the buyer seminar at 7 o'clock on Friday night. So we're also going to be having in some guest speakers over the next few weeks. We're going to have some of our lender partners in, and you really won't want to miss that. And we're going to broadcast that on their pages as well. Hey, if I haven't had the chance to meet you yet, I would love to do so by phone, email, text. Please feel free to reach out. And Realty Group, have a great night, and thank you so much for attending, whether you're attended live or catching us on the replay. Have a great day.